Hi friends, hope you all are doing great. Welcome to Kumaripan channel. This video is a bit different from other videos what I have uploaded in my channel. This is an academic video and I am dedicating this special video for all my students. If this video goes well, definitely I am planning to start a new channel only for academic purpose. If you like this video, please do like, subscribe, comment and share. Without further delay, let's move into the video. Yeah, fine. Today I am guiding you the basics of machine learning. In this video, we will be discussing about these three modules. Module 1, I am going to discuss about applications of machine learning and what are the difference between machine learning, artificial intelligence and deep learning. Next, in module 2, I am going to discuss about machine learning algorithms with some examples. And in module 3, we will be seeing about some implementation of machine learning using MATLAB. And I have also suggested some courses, so if you are having time, just go through those courses, so it will be quite useful for you when you are doing some projects and all. Okay, fine. Today we all are dependent on technology. We are living in the world of machines. We can't deny the fact that our personal and professional life relies on technology. 10 years ago, it's very hard to believe that we can order food with just a few clicks. Have you ever imagined about saying, "Hey Siri," then the machine will answer? Yeah, of course, never, right? But everything happened. It shows the evolution of technology, and technology is so strong and powerful. If we dig deeper, it is the outcome of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Machine learning plays an important role in our day-to-day life as well. All the way from Google Maps, Siri, personal voice assistants in your phone, everything. Like human, machines are also learning. Human learns from past experience, but computers or machines need to be told what to do. Computers are strict logic machines with zero common sense. That means if we want them to do something, we have to provide them with detailed step-by-step instructions on exactly what to do. So we write scripts and algorithms to make the machine to follow those instructions. For example, if I am showing the apple to the human, he or she will be recollecting the data from the brain and recognizing it's an apple. But in case of machine, if I am showing an apple, it converts that image into the data with patterns or features like colors, shapes, size, etc. With these features, it learns and recognizes it's an apple. This is what machine learning is. Machine learning is a concept that allows a machine to learn from examples and experience that is being explicitly programmed. In a nutshell, I can say machine learning is we are teaching the machine to learn. That's all. Today, everyone is using machine learning application. If I am asking someone what is machine learning, they struggle to answer because without knowing about neural network, AI, deep learning, also one can handle any application of this machine learning because this kind of technology is very user friendly and it is very easy to handle. So anyone can use that. Let me tell you an application, that is traffic alerts in Google Map. How does the Google Map is giving traffic alerts? Yeah, it is a combination of multiple factors. Like how many people are currently using the service of Google Maps, historic data of the route and some real-time techniques. While you use Google Maps, you are allowing the app to use the data like your location, your average traveling speed. You are able to answer the questions like does the route still have traffic, about the day, time and any specific occasion. All such data is captured and stored by the application. By using this data, AI and machine learning algorithms make the right conclusion and give you the exact information. The updated feature of this Google Maps also helps us to know how far is the upcoming bus from a specific stop and even make predictions on the bus delays. Machine learning plays a vital role in image recognition. For example, for humans, it's very easy to recognize any object or image or whatever it is. For example, let me say, imagine an apple in your mind. I'm sure you can recall the images of an apple along with its taste, color, size, shape, everything. But for a computer, the images are just some array of numerical values, and that is why it uses image processing algorithms to look for patterns in digital images. It uses different pattern recognition algorithm to identify whether it's an apple or not. Can you unlock a phone simply by looking at it? Yeah. If yes, you are using machine learning technique in your mobile. That means the high-end camera of your phone recognizes 80 nodal points on a human face and machine learning technologies to measure the variable of a person's face and unlock the phone. This is how it works. Machine learning is also used in product recommendation. You might have noticed this. While shopping on Amazon or Flipkart or any other shopping website, you get to see some recommended items or options like user who bought this product also bought this product and users also buy this along with this product. Have you noticed it? Example, I can say you are a customer and you want to buy only a grinder. While ordering the grinder in the shopping website, it suggests or recommends you to buy a mixie. Actually, you don't want to buy a mixie, only you need a grinder. But by seeing various offers and recommendations, your mind will get changed and you are buying a mixie along with the grinder. You know, this is a kind of marketing trick which has been followed to attract the customers. It also yields profits to the business people as well as marketers. Well, how does this happen? Google tracks your watch history, search history and gives you recommendation based on that. All these are the outcomes of advanced machine learning training, wherein the system learns individual patterns of user and suggests new or additional products to buy. Not only on e-commerce application, but even you will also get to see similar product suggestions on Google, YouTube and many freemium apps. These are other applications of machine learning. It's used in drones, manufacturing industries, self-driving cars, military surveillance, forest activities and social media, etc. So there are more applications of this machine learning. Once I asked my students to give the difference between AI, machine learning and deep learning. At that time, many students told like this AI, machine learning and deep learning, three terms are same terms. There's no difference at all. And very few answered like, no ma'am, AI is extremely different and this machine learning and deep learning are both are same terms. So this slide or in this video, I just want to convey that these three terms are extremely different, and I will also clarify the doubts in AI, machine learning and deep learning in the slide. In AI, the AI enables the machines to think. That means without any human intervention, the machine will be taking its own decision. For example, self-driving car, and if you are talking to a Siri, it will listen to you and it will answer for you, right? So that is also an artificial intelligence. For Siri, nobody is teaching and Siri is not discussing with anyone to answer you, right? So this kind of intelligence is known as artificial intelligence. Then the next one is machine learning. This machine learning is a subset of AI. It uses statistical tools to analyze and explore the data. We are giving some input data to the machine, and the machine learns and it extracts the patterns from the input data, and it is giving the end result. Next one is deep learning. It is a subset of machine learning. It mimics the human brain. In deep learning, there are various techniques like CNN, ANN and RNN are there. Most of the problem statement which is in the form of images, then we can use CNN. When the problem statement is in the form of number, that means numerics, then we can use ANN. If the input data or if the problem statement is in the form of time series data, then we can go for RNN. Then let me introduce another term called data science. Data science is a technique which is applied to all these fields like AI, ML and deep learning. And data scientists will be working in all these fields like AI, ML and deep learning. Hope you all get what is the difference between this AI, ML and machine learning. So now let's see what is the difference between traditional programming and machine learning. In traditional programming, a programmer is there, and this programmer creates a program and manually formulates the codes or rules for the problem. For the problem statement, we need to develop an algorithm, then scripting it and then obtaining the final result. If you are not getting the proper result or output, then we need to change the algorithm and code again and again until to get the desired output. So these are the 3 steps of traditional programming. First, we need to develop an algorithm. That means the programmer is developing an algorithm, and then he is developing a code to fit into that algorithm. And final step is he is implementing that code and he is using that code for a particular application. If this code cannot work and he is not getting the proper output or result, then again he is changing the algorithm and he is changing the code. Whereas in machine learning, the algorithm automatically frames the rules from the data. Here the major work is to collect the data. Once the data has to be collected, then the features are extracted and these features are given to the specific algorithm. So experiment with different algorithms to build a better model. Once the model is designed, then these input parameters are sent to the model to get a better results. The more number of data what you are collecting, you will get more number of accurate results. For problem identification, you need to collect many data and split this data for training and testing. Different set of data for training and testing. Let me explain this through a small story. Father wants to teach his kid to recognize an apple. So day 1, father shows the kid an apple and teach the kid it's an apple. Day 2, father shows the kid an apple and teach the kid it's an apple. Then the kid look into the apple and sees its colors, texture, size, shapes and started to learn. Then in day 3, again father shows the kid an apple and there he stopped. Day 4, father shows the mango to the kid and asking, what is it? Then the kid is replying, this is not an apple. In this case, father is teaching the kid to recognize an apple, isn't it? That is the training time. And in day 4, father is asking the kid what is it by showing a mango, that is called testing time. This is how the machine learning work. In simple words, I can say like data which is used to train the model is called training data and the data which is used to test the model is called testing data. So the best ratio for training and testing is 70 is to 30. That means 70% is for training and 30% is for testing. In some cases, people will take like 80 is to 20. That means 80% is for training and 20% is for testing. Machine learning uses three kinds of approaches: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforced learning. So we will be seeing these three types of approaches one by one. Let's start with supervised learning. Here the program is trained on a predefined data set. It is provided with the input data and the desired output results, and then the computer has to analyze these data to learn the rule that maps these input and output. It can then apply its knowledge to the learning algorithm to adjust and improve its future prediction about the output values. In simple words, I can say like, here the program is trained on a predefined data set. It is provided with the input data and desired output. Here the requirements are very clear and the outputs are labeled. This is a simple example of supervised learning. I already told that for supervised learning the requirements are very clear and here the output is labeled. Here in this example, I just want to know whether the person is fit or unfit. If the person is fit, then I have assigned the value of 0. If the person is unfit, then I have assigned the value 1. Then I have taken two parameters for this analysis. What are the two parameters in the sense? Height and weight. So here I have randomly chosen the value. This is not a right value. Simply for your understanding, I have chosen this example. Okay, so don't work out with these values and all. So here I have taken 7.5 as height and weight is 75 and I got the output fit. That means if the height is 7.5 and the weight is 75, then the particular person is a fit person. If the height is 5 and the weight is 90, then the particular person is unfit, right? So here the parameters, input parameters, height and weight is known as past data or input value or variable or features, and the output fit or not unfit, this is known as label. So if you get the output is in the form of fit, unfit, like that, that means or yes or no. So if you are getting any categorical value as your output, then you can go for classification. For that particular problem statement, you can go for any kind of classification algorithms. If you see this example, here you are having certain input values and you are having the output. That means the input and the output are clearly defined and the output is labeled, so that it falls under the category of supervised learning. So here if you see the first row, here the length has given like 7.5 and the breadth has given like 75 and the area is 52.5, right? So the output is labeled and the output is in the form of numerical value. If the output is in the form of numerical value, then you can use any kind of regression algorithm to solve the problem. That means if your problem statement is having the output in the form of numerics, then you can directly use any kind of regression algorithm for your problem statement. I will explain the concept of supervised learning by using a simple example. Yeah, here also I am going to use an apple. So here you are having a known data. That means in the known data you are having some set of apples, that is known as training data, and here you are giving some known response, that is known as testing data. Both the data you are giving to the model, and once you are feeding those data to the model, when you are giving a new data, that is new apple, you are showing to the model. When a new data you are giving to the model, It will be recollecting from the training and testing data, and it is recognizing that it is an app. This is what called as supervised learning. It is learning from testing and training data through a model, and it is giving the output. Here comes unsupervised learning. In the unsupervised learning, the output is not having any labels. So here we need to discover the hidden patterns in the data. Here we are having two features, height and weight. I could say the person above 5'5", height 5 is assumed to be a normal person, and if the person height is below 5, then I can say that he is a abnormal person. And I can also say if the person weight is above 75, then I could say like overweight, and if the person's weight is below 75, then I can say he is underweight. Okay, so now see how many categories of output I got. One is normal, abnormal, underweight, overweight. So these kind of observation, if you find in any specific problem, then you can go for any kind of clustering algorithms. So just see this example, you will get more clear. So here the input data is having so many fruits, right? So here you are having apple, banana and mango. So it is having a cluster of fruits. So when this input raw data is given to the algorithm is processing it, and it is giving the output of three categories, that is apple, banana and mango. That means the model is trained. Here we are giving one set of input data, but the model is trained for a particular set of data, and the algorithm is giving the output into three categories. So here in this case also, for identifying an apple, banana and mangoes, you can go for any clustering algorithms to solve this problem. Next is reinforced learning. This reinforced learning is the combination of supervised and unsupervised learning. So here certain data will be having the labels and certain data will not have any labels. So in this example, if you see closely this example, here you are having two input parameters, height and weight. And if you see the output labels, few values are not labeled and few output values are labeled, like fit and unfit, right? So here also we can split into many categories like fit, unfit, normal, abnormal, underweight, overweight or anything, right? So this is just nothing but just a combination of both supervised and unsupervised learning. Here in the reinforced learning, it is learning from its feedback. Here in this example, here we are having an input as apple, and this apple is shown to a machine or algorithm or a model or whatever it is. So we are giving the input to the model or an algorithm. So first it is identifying the apple as mango. Then the feedback or agent is saying wrong, it's an apple. Then the system learns by itself, and the next time when we are showing an apple to the algorithm, it is identifying that it's an apple. This is what called reinforced learning. It is learning from its feedback. Okay, let's see the example of linear regression. So in this linear regression, we are having x input variable and y dependent variable. So here the equation which is framed to fit into our application is known as model. So here the equation of straight line is given, that is y is equal to mx plus c. So with this we are going to predict the next value. So this equation is called as a model. So here also I have randomly taken the value. It is not a right value. Simply for your understanding, I have chosen the value of x and y. So here I am having certain values of x and y. When you identify the weight and bias, you can call it as a model. So here you are having x and y values. So x values until 5, the y value has been marked. If I am asking you to plot a graph for 6, then how you will find the output y? So this output y is called as predicted output. So for finding this y, you need to identify the weight. Weight is nothing but find out in what pattern or in what ratio the output is changing. So here if you analyze the reading, the output pattern is changing with the ratio of 2. So that you can assume that 2 as your weight. Now already you are having the model, right? So in that model, that means y is equal to mx plus c. So here you can write reframe or rewrite it as y is equal to wx plus b. W is nothing but weight and b is the bias. So here we have taken the bias as 0, right? So here the weight is calculated as 2 into x. X is nothing but this 6. So y you are getting as 12. So the next value or next predicted value is 12. This is how you have to calculate the predicted value. This is a simple example. You can apply this example for any regression problems. This is another example. In this example, we are going to find out the salary of a fresher and an experienced person. So here I have taken x is equal to 0 for a fresher and x is equal to 10 for an experienced person because he is having 10 years of experience. So you have given the TA, DA, all those things you have calculated as M, and then basic salary is 26,000. So that you can calculate the salary of fresher and experienced person using a regression. So there are a lot of examples are there for regression. So you can search that in a net, and this is very helpful for mathematical application. Let's see a small introduction about artificial neural network. As a general rough idea, an artificial neural network is mathematical abstraction for the computational model that is actually happening in our biological neural networks. Biological neural networks are being developed by nature. Similarly to biological neural networks, artificial neurons are designed to be connected to each other. It gathers input signals from the neurons they are connected to their left side and passes an output signal to the neurons which is connected to the right side based on a firing pattern defined to that particular artificial neuron. In short, I can say like neural networks are a class of machine learning algorithms used to model complex patterns in data sets using multiple hidden layers and nonlinear activation functions. Neural networks are trained iteratively using optimization techniques like gradient descent. After each cycle of training, an error metric is calculated based on the difference between prediction and target. The derivative of this error metric are calculated and propagated back through the network using a technique called backpropagation. Each neuron's coefficient, that means weight, are then adjusted relative to how much they contributed to the total error. This process is repeated iteratively until the network error drops below an acceptable threshold. Well, this is the basic structure of a biological neural network and artificial neural network. For artificial neurons, it is possible to mimic certain parts of neurons such as dendrites, cell bodies, and axon. In biological neuron, the signals can be received from dendrites and sent down to the axon. Once enough signals were received, this outgoing signal can then be used as another input for other neurons. Repeating the process, some signals are more important than other signals and can trigger some neurons to fire easier. Connections can become stronger or weaker. New connections can appear while others can cease to exist. We can mimic most of this process by coming up with a function that receives a list of weighted input signals and output signals. In artificial neural network, this has to be done by using simplified mathematical model. Here, the various inputs to the network are represented by the mathematical symbol I1, I2, etc. up to in. Each of these inputs are multiplied by a connection weight. These weights are represented by W1, W2 up to Wn. In this simplest case, these products are simply summed, fed through a transfer function to generate result and then output. This process lends itself to physical implementation on a large scale in a small package. This electronic implementation is still possible with other network structures which utilizes different summing function as well as different transfer functions. Any kind of neural network, the algorithm has to be followed is like, first the input has to be multiplied with a weight, that is step 1, and in step 2 pass the result to activation function. You can use any kind of activation function, depends upon your application. Then step 3 is multiply this activation function result by next layer's weight. Then step 4 is pass that result to activation function for output. Then step 5 is calculate loss, update weight and repeat the process until you get the accurate value. The basic architecture of any kind of neural network. This layered approach is followed in neural network. There is a set of inputs, a processor and a set of outputs. The input forms the input layer. The middle layer which performs the processing is called the hidden layers, and the output forms the output layer. A neuron's input equals to the sum of weighted outputs from all the neurons in the previous layer. Each input layer is multiplied by the weight associated with the synapses connecting the input to the current neuron. Here, the hidden layer converts the input to the desired output. There are often multiple hidden layers in a network. In traditional networks, hidden layers are typically fully connected layers. Each neuron receives input from all the previous layers neuron and send its output to every neuron in the next layer. This contrasts with how convolution layers work, where the neurons send their output to only some of the neurons in the next layer. The understanding of the hidden layers requires knowledge of weights, bias and activation function, which is our next topic in our discussion. The final layer in the network is output layer. It receives input from the previous hidden layer, optionally applies an activation function and returns an output representing your model's prediction. A neuron takes a group of weighted inputs, applies an activation function and returns an output. Here some set of input values are there, x1, x2 and x3, and the weights are assumed to be w1, w2 and w3. The activation function used in this example is sigmoid function and the output, let's say, for y. Input to a neuron can either be features from the training set or outputs from a previous layer's neuron. Weights are applied to the input as they travel along synapses to reach the neuron. The neuron then applies an activation function to the sum of weighted inputs from each incoming synapses and passes the result on to all the neurons to the next layer. Okay, then synapses. Synapses are like roads in a neural network. They connect inputs to neurons, neurons to neurons and neurons to outputs. When we talk about updating the weights in the network, we are really talking about adjusting the weights on these synapses. Next, weights and bias. Both these terms are very important terms in neural network. Weights in an artificial neural network are the most important factor in converting an input to impact the output. This is similar to the slope in linear regression. We have learned, right? Earlier we have discussed about linear regression, where a weight is multiplied to the input to add up to form the output. Weights are numerical parameters which determine how strongly each of the neurons affects the other. Weighted input. A neuron's input equals the sum of weighted outputs from all neurons in the previous layer. Each input is multiplied by the weight associated with the synapses connecting the input to the current neuron. If there are 3 inputs or neurons in the previous layer, each neuron in the current layer will have 3 distinct weights. One of each synapses. Single input. For single input, we can say like Z is equal to input into weight. Here the input I have taken as X and the weight I have taken as W. So single input, for single input the output Z is equal to X into W. Then multiple inputs. If you see the multiple inputs, so we will be having x1, x2 up to xn, so many inputs. If we are having multiple inputs, then we can use the formula or mathematical model. Z is equal to summation of I is equal to 1 to n xi into wi. Xi is nothing but it is the input and wi is the weight. So as per our example, we are having 3 inputs, x1, x2 and x3. So we are writing x1 into w1 plus x2 into w2 plus x3 into w3. Activation functions. Activation functions lies inside neural network and modify the data they receive before passing it to the next layer. Activation functions give neural networks their power, allowing them to model complex nonlinear relationships. By modifying the inputs with nonlinear functions, neural networks can model highly complex relationships between features. There are few activation functions like linear, ReLU function, ReLU function, then leaky ReLU, sigmoid, tanh, softmax. Among all these activation functions, popular activation functions are ReLU and sigmoid. Next is loss functions. So for our specific problem statement, we will be designing a model, right? So this loss function tells you how good the model is at making predictions for a given set of parameters. So when you are changing the parameters, how your model is fitting for that parameter is given by loss function. The loss function has its own curve and its own derivatives. The slope of this curve tells us how to change our parameters to make the model more accurate. We use the model to make predictions. We use the cost function to update our parameters. Our cost function can take a variety of forms as there are many different cost functions available. Popular loss functions include MSE and this cross-entropic loss. I hope you understood the basic concepts and terms of neural network. In simple, I can say like here neuron is there and neuron takes an input and it does some mathematical calculation by using a mathematical model and produce an output. Here I have given one example. In this example, we are having 2 inputs, that is x1 and x2, and here we have taken 2 weights. Let's assume w1 and the other weight is w2 and the output is y. So here 3 things are happening here. First, each input is multiplied by a weight, and next all the weighted inputs are added together with a bias b, and finally the sum is passed through an activation function. So we are going to do these 3 functions. Okay, let us do one by one. First, each input is multiplied by a weight. Here for designing, first step is each input has to be multiplied with a weight. Here the inputs are x1 and x2. The weights assigned here is w1 and w2. So each input is multiplied by a weight, right? So x1 implies x1 into w1 and x2 implies x2 into w2. So each input is multiplied with its corresponding weight. In step 2, weighted inputs are added together with a bias b. So here we are going to add bias b with the weighted inputs. So the weighted inputs are x1 into w1 plus x2 into w2. plus we are adding the bias B. Then the entire sum is added with an activation function, that is sum is passed through an activation function. So here the function, that means activation function used is a sigmoidal function. The activation function is used to turn an unbound input into an output predictable form. Normally and commonly used this activation function is sigmoidal function. This sigmoid function only outputs number in the range of 0, 1. You can think of it as compressing minus infinity to plus infinity to 0, 1. If it is a negative number, that means big negative number, it becomes approximately 0, and big positive numbers means it becomes approximately 1. So here let's see a next example. In this example, the question is given like, assume we have a 2 input neuron that uses a sigmoid activation function and has the following parameters. So weight is given, weight is equal to 0, 1, and bias is given, B is equal to 4 and X is equal to 2, 3, that is the input neurons. Okay, so here they didn't give any hidden layers, so it is very easy to solve. So for solving we can use this dot product. Here for solving this problem we are going to use a dot product. We already know the equation, right? That means mathematical model. We know the model to solve this equation. So y is equal to wx plus b. So already the weight is given, x inputs is given and bias is given. So directly we can apply the values in the formula. So w1 is nothing but 0 into x1, that is first input, 2 plus first weight 1 into first input, second input, that is 3 plus bias is given as 4. So when we are solving this, we are getting the output value as 7. Now here we need to apply the activation function because they have given the activation function as sigmoidal. So y is equal to f into wx plus b. This f represents the activation function. Then we can apply this to the weights. So the total y what we have obtained is 7. This 7 is applied to the activation function. So we are writing it as f of 7, which is equal to 0.999. That means y is equal to 0.999. It represents the neuron outputs 0.999 for the input values x is equal to 2, 3. That's it. This process of passing input forward to get an output is known as feed forward. Next example is, assume the neuron has the weights of w is equal to 0, 1. Same bias, that is for all neurons the bias is b is equal to 0. It uses sigmoidal activation function. Let h1, h2, o1 denotes the output of the neurons. What happens if we pass the input x is equal to 2, 3? So here we are also having hidden layers, right? So let's solve the example. For solving this example, we are taking the hidden layer h1 is equal to h2, which is equal to function of wx plus b. So already the weight has given. So we are giving the weight 0 into, here 2 inputs are given. We are substituting the first input 2. That means 2 inputs are 2, 3. So first input is 2. So 0 into 2 plus weight 2, that means W2 is equal to 1, right? So 1 into, and the second x1 x2 input is 3, so 1 into 3 plus the bias is 0, so that you can get f3 is equal to f of 3, that is function, sigmoid function of 3 is equal to 0.9526. Then we need to calculate the output. So for calculating the output, we are using the h1 and h2, that is using the hidden layer value. So after substituting that, you are getting O1 is equal to 0.7216. That means the output of the neural network for the input x is equal to 2, 3 is 0.7216. Hope you have got how to design a simple neural network. So when you are doing this in a programming in MATLAB or Python, you will understand more. This is easier only, it is not tough, it is quite easy. Yeah. Once the network has been structured for a particular application, the network is ready to be trained. To start this process, the initial weights are chosen randomly, then the training or testing begins. There are two approaches to testing for testing and training, right? Yeah, already I explained about that, supervised and unsupervised training. This I have covered only the basics, just I have given the introduction about everything. Then in my upcoming lectures, I will be explaining a lot about supervised. For any ML problem, you need to follow these steps. First, you need to identify the problem statement. Then, you need to collect the data regarding your problem. Then, you need to analyze it and then clean the data. Cleaning the data is nothing but if you are collecting hundreds of data, with the hundreds of data is not needed for your problem, or not needed for the for finding the solution of your problem. In that case, among this 100 of data, only 50 data is needed for problem identification and to finding out the solution. So in that case, only analyzing the required data is known as cleaning the data. So this required data is given to the system or algorithm. Then identify the algorithm. That means for your specific application, for your project, what algorithm it suits. Depending on the input data and depending on your project or depending on your application, you need to choose your ML algorithm. Then separate data for training and testing. Then predicting and then evaluating the result. Then final implementation. This is just a simple example using MATLAB. So here I want to identify a circle object. So for that, here I am reading the image from the file and then I am showing the image in RGB form. Again, for better enhancement, I am showing that into a gray image. Then after that, I am fixing some threshold. Then I am fixing the boundary, and once the boundaries are fixed, then I am identifying the circle by identifying the hollow region. So if there is any holes is there, I am filling that holes, and the region where I have filled, that is considered as a circle. Actually here it identifies the circle, but here there is no perfect circle is there. So it is saying that metric closer to 1 indicates that an object is approximately round. So this is also an example. This is a very, very, very simple example. So if you use a CNN or ANN, you will be having any number of examples in MATLAB, so you can find out. So for your application, you can also use that code and simply modify those code and you can apply for your model or your problem. So this is a basic example. This is not exact machine learning, just we are identifying a circle objects. Simply for your understanding only, I have given this example. Just try this. These are some free machine learning courses. So if you go into this link, it will ask for registration, so you can register and you can take up this course so that you will get more idea about machine learning. These are some trending projects in machine learning. The code is also available in the internet, so you can utilize this time, lockdown time, for working out this code and learning some machine learning basics. You can download the code and work out. Definitely you will get more idea about machine learning. Hope this video is useful for you all. If you have any doubts, ask me in comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video.